Hello, old friend. Welcome to my media museum. My name is Will. And today we're going to be looking at some recent acquisitions that I acquired April 24th, 2024 at the Second and Charles store here not far from my place. And I was really happy to acquire this Eric Clapton from 1976. A really great song that you don't seem to hear on the radio anymore. It's just a crying shame because we used to hear that on the airways all the time. B-side of this one being All Our Pastimes. So really glad to add that one to the collection. And this one I may or may not have previously owned a copy of, and may have even shown you a copy of it. But Foghat, Slow Ride. And this is the 45 version, running 3 minutes 45 seconds, considerably shorter than the album version, which I think is around 7 minutes. But the B-side on this one is Save Your Loving for Me. Loved Foghat. Foghat was great. Fool for the City was an awesome album, with him sitting there in the middle of the street with the manhole cover off with the fishing pole. I thought that was so funny when I was a kid and that came out. Now this one I was really excited and really happy to get a hold of a copy of. And I was telling my buddy Lance that I had acquired this and was going to be having it in an upcoming video. And he told me that I already had a copy and already filmed it and had put it up on the channel. So, wow. These things happen. But here we've got Mississippi Queen, if you know what I mean. But hey, look, it's a great copy. And I'm not sure if the previous copy I had was as nice, because obviously I didn't even remember having a previous copy. But here it is again in a very nice looking copy. The layered being on the B side of that. It does have a cutout hole in it though, so it was reported. You'll notice it's got the hole on this side, but on this side that's where they chose to put somebody put their catalog number over it, so to kind of hide that hole. I did not see that hole when I bought it, but I still would have bought it anyways. And if you're not sure what that hole's about and you haven't caught one of my episodes where I previously explained them, when a record shop couldn't sell a 45, they'd report it as destroyed, drill a hole in it, throw it away. A lot of times they ended up going home with employees or getting dug out the dumpster by somebody diving. So there's quite a few of those. I see them quite often. And it's kind of like when you see it cut through a barcode on a CD or even though VHS tapes and stuff, they would do that. I've even seen it on some DVDs, actually, where they'll cut through the barcode. Well, they've been just reported as unsellable, and rather than wasting money shipping them back, they mark them as cutouts and throw them away. All right, moving on. For those of you who've heard that 100 times, I'm sorry. Here we got ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, doing Rock and Roll is King. And I'm pretty sure I did not have this one. I'm a big fan of ELO. I love Electric Light Orchestra. Jeff Lynne is an amazing songwriter. In fact, the other day I watched Xanadu again for the first time in quite a few years. And boy, what a weird movie that is. But they did some great music for it. B-side here, After All. And next up, we got another ELO. I think I got 4 of them here that I picked up that day just because, I love ELO and I wanted to make sure I had good, clean copies of these. Mr. Blue Sky from Out of the Blue, 1977. And the B-side of that is One Summer Dream from 1975. You'll notice that's taken from Face the Music, whereas Mr. Blue Sky was from Out of the Blue. ELO is another band like Styx and so many others, especially anybody on A&M, that would have a song from one album on the A side and then another song from a different album promoting that other previous album on the B side. So that's very commonplace on ELO 45s. And here is one of my favorite songs of theirs, Do You Want My Love, Woman? And I actually love Ace Frehley's cover of this. If you haven't heard Ace Frehley's cover of this song, you should check that out. That's a really, really great version. I loved ELO's version, and being a big fan of Ace Frehley, when he did it, I was super psyched and really got into it. But definitely ELO song that I want to have the original on a really nice, clean vinyl. And here on the B side of this one, we've got a song called Knight Rider. And that makes you think of Mad Max, you know, the first Mad Max, Mel Gibson, Knight Rider. I'm sure it had nothing to do with it, but there you had Face the Music for the Knight Rider and a new world record for Do Ya. See, so there again, following suit with that A and B sides from different albums. So here we got a nice, cool Kmart sticker. Unfortunately, Kmart's dead and gone in these neck of the woods. I think they're dead and gone everywhere, but I can't swear by that. But they're definitely dead and gone here, and that's a shame. But Peg, it will come back to you. Steely Dan, 1977. What a great song. Love that song. And the B side of that, I got the news. So, I'm not sure if I previously had Peg, but I didn't think that I did. And even if I do, again, most of these that I picked up were really good shape. There were a few that I wanted to pick up that were there, and unfortunately they weren't in great shape. They had some damage on them, and or they were cracked. But that's the way it goes. These things happen. And here's an Elton John, which old Bernie Turpin song. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. Pretty much all the stuff from the 70s that Elton and Bernie did together was really good stuff. I loved Elton in the 70s. Kind of lost me in the 80s, and after that I haven't had much appreciation for anything that he's done. Even the remake of Candle in the Wind wasn't even anywhere near as good as the original version of Candle in the Wind, in my opinion. But nothing against Elton. He just kind of like Steve Miller did his best work in the 70s. And I like Steve Miller, but just an opinion, you know. So, anyways, the B-side's got another song off that Blue Moves album called Shoulder Holster. And I like the coloring, you know, nice, pretty, bright colors. I always like the bright coloring. That side looks a little better. But anyways, excuse me. This is an interesting sleeve I've never seen before. The Programmers. New York, New York. And it doesn't match the vinyl, but I wanted to give you a second to see that just because it is different. But Alice Cooper, you and me ain't no superstars, and what we are is what we are. Alice did some really great stuff. He did some rockin' stuff. He did some good ballads. I love Alice. He's still doing good stuff to this day. That Detroit Stories, I think he's had one since then, but Detroit Stories was an amazing album. If you haven't seen that, pick it up. And it comes with a bonus DVD of a live show. It's just, can't say enough about it. I love that album. I love Alice. I've been listening to him since I was in junior high. So it's amazing to me that he's still around and putting stuff out. But B-side of this, it's kind of hard to see, but it says, "It's Hot Tonight." But yeah, I definitely, again, this is one that I may have had, but the vinyl was so clean, it looked so good, that I didn't mind picking it up again, if that's what I was doing. Especially when I got a really good copy of No More Mr. Nice Guy at the same time in the same stack. And here again, this is another song that I have a big appreciation for a cover version. Megadeth. Megadeth did No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's on their, what was the name of that album they had? They collected a bunch of the B-sides and stuff. I think it was Hidden Treasures, but I don't want to swear by that. But it was a B-side of one of their singles. And I don't believe it was on one of the regular albums. But it was definitely a big song for Alice Cooper. It was on $1 Billion Babies. And 1973, I had this on 8-track tape. No more Mr. Clean. Yeah, it's funny, too, because, his father was a minister, and the lyrics of that song talk about the minister telling him he's a bad person and all. So it's kind of comical. B-side being a song called "Raped and Freezing," and Alice is definitely no stranger to having some comedy in his releases or songs. He's done it all. So now this one here, this one I got a long story for you on. This one's definitely brings back a memory, not necessarily a good memory, but I'm old enough, mature enough now that I can laugh things off. But when I was in 6th grade, my father went to work one day and never came home. So not long after that, I picked up this Allman Brothers and Sisters album, which came out in 72, so it wasn't a new release at that time either. It had been out for a while. And I was listening to it, and on side 1, track 2, Ramblin' Man comes on. And my grandmother, she got up, came over, didn't even bother to turn the turntable off. She just grabbed the album right off of it, ripped it right out from underneath the needle, smashed it there on the side of the console, told me I should be ashamed of myself and I should have been more considerate of my mother's feelings. Well, I was quite rather perturbed at the time, but looking back now, it's kind of funny. It's kind of a funny memory. It's like, okay, crazy old witch. I never cared much for her. She didn't care for me, so the feeling was mutual. You get what you give. And I'm not trying to be negative here. It's just a factual story from my life. And but anyways, anytime I hear Ramblin' Man, I can't help but remember that instance. And yeah, 1973 for the 45. The album was actually from 72. The B-side here is a song called Pony Boy. But, my mom and dad was married for 13 years. I don't think he was exactly a rambling man. So why my grandmother took such offense to that, we'll never know. But I didn't make the connection, and I wasn't thinking none of that. I was just listening to the new Allman Brothers album that I had bought. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Come on back. I've got another stack, at least one more episode worth that I picked up on April 24th. And we'll see you then.